The Industrial Revolution transformed muscle power, but the AI and robotics revolution is transforming intelligence itself. For the first time in human history, machines no longer simply are just tools, they are becoming autonomous decision making systems. The hardware era of drone revolution has matured, but the cognitive era has begun. A drone is no longer a collection of carbon fiber, lithium cells, and brushless motors. A drone is a mobile edge computing node. It is a vessel for localized intelligence. The aircraft now is the easy part. The hard part is the part that will determine who leads the next decade. It's the layer of perception, judgment, coordination, and governance that sits on top of the aircraft. That shift changes who can compete, and it changes what nations should be investing in. The title of my address is a claim that the nation that trains artificial intelligence engineers, autonomous pilots, and robots today will lead tomorrow. I want to defend that claim with three main propositions and then say something about where my country stands. The first proposition is that talent is the only input that compounds. A nation can import airframes, it can import compute, it can import capital, it cannot import judgment. The engineer who understands why an autonomous system failed, that pilot who knows when not to trust the automation, the architect who designs for safety before performance, that capability is built domestically over years, or it is not built at all. It cannot be purchased at the moment of need. It must be invested in long before the need is obvious, which is why precisely most nations underinvest in it. The metric of technology sovereignty in this century is not factory floor space only. It is the depth of human mindware pipeline. The countries that build the world's most serious factories of cognitive talent, that train people who write the algorithms of perception, supervise swarm intelligence, and design systems that blend safely into our skies and our cities. Those are the countries that will inherit the autonomous economy. Everything else is a downstream of that. The second proposition is the one that I make in a different capacity. In Pakistan, I chair the Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority. My direct world is digital assets, not the airframes. But the underlying structural problem is identical to the one that this World Drone Congress exists to address. We are regulating technology that moves exponentially, while law by nature moves linearly, step by step. You see, an autonomous system that could not cross a room 5 years ago can now survey a farm, inspect a power line, deliver medicine across a valley. Policy, meanwhile, moves at the speed of committees, not at the speed of compute. The gap between what the technology can do and what our institutions are ready to govern, I would argue, that central infrastructure challenge of our time. The common framing of the gap is wrong. Regulation is usually described as a friction. I would offer you the opposite proposition. Regulation done correctly is not a cage, it is a ladder. A drone industry without rules does not scale, it stalls. Insurers will not underwrite it. Airspace authorities will not open to it. Serious capital will not commit to it. Cities will not trust it. The absence of regulation is not freedom, it is ceiling when it comes to emerging technologies. The nation that will lead the autonomous economy are not the one with the fewest rules. They are the one with the clearest and cleanest rules. Rules that arrive early enough and credible enough that an engineer in a workshop knows exactly what they are permitted to build and exactly how to get it in the sky. This is the real race, not just talent. Talent plus governance, systems that let the talent ship. The third proposition is that the autonomous era is an opening for emerging economies around the world, not only for the incumbents. The conventional assumption is that advanced economies dominate every frontier technology by default, and I would argue against it. The last 2 decades suggest otherwise. Mobile payments scaled fastest in markets that never had the conventional dense banking infrastructure. Digital identities scaled fastest in countries that had no legacy identity system to defend. A similar logic applies here. A young country unburdened by legacy systems with large population of technically capable young people and a government willing to write clear rules can move with a speed that mature economies weighted down by incumbents find difficult to match. You see, this is not a guarantee, it's an opening. Openings are taken by those who prepare for them. Which brings me finally to Pakistan. Pakistan has two assets that are difficult to manufacture and impossible to fake. The first is people. We are a nation of 250 million people. At the center of gravity is a young, tech savvy population. More than 140 million Pakistanis are under the age of 30. It is the single largest strategic asset my country possesses. The task of policymakers is to make it productive. The second asset is our need. Pakistan has authentic problems that autonomous systems are genuinely good at solving. We are one of the most climate exposed nation on earth. We have an agriculture sector that must be more precise in order to survive. We have terrains, floodplains, distances that make physical logistics expensive and disaster response slow. A country with those problems is not a reluctant adopter of autonomous technology. It is a natural deployment environment for it. If you put those two together, a young technical workforce and an authentic demand, and you have the raw material and a playbook of an industry. So allow me to close where I began. Shenzhen built the hardware era of autonomous flight. That work is largely done and the world is in debt for it. The next era, the cognitive era, is open. It will be defined by the nations that build the deepest pipeline of human talent that write the clearest rules early enough to matter, and that recognized emerging economies not as customers of the technology but as co-architects of its deployment. Pakistan intends to be one of those nations. We intend to be providing ground where the case studies for emerging world are validated, regulated, and exported. And we intend to do that work where it makes sense, hand in hand with our ironclad partners in China. Thank you so much.